could definitely
Du même endroit. I can hear you, Jerry, but I've got nothing on the mic.
In Kigali, she wakes up, she makes sad choice. In Hanoi, Natal, Ramallah.
South Africans celebrated Women's Day on the 9th of August, and what better way to be a part of this special movement than to speak to some of the special women we have around us right here at ER24. In 1956, close to 20,000 women marched to the Union buildings as a demonstration against the passport law, and since this unforgettable event, we have paid tribute to these and other South Africans who have paved the way for women's rights in the country. I am Luyanda Majija, and this week I bring you a series of special podcasts that dig deep into the heart of a woman in uniform. Joining me in studio first is Nicole De Montille, and she works in our training department. She has quite a lot of leg work and has done some fantastic work. So I'm just waiting to hear about all the special things that she's done as a woman in uniform in such a demanding industry. Nicole, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. It's a privilege and a pleasure to be here.
First of all, how long have you been in the EMS industry?
Sure. Almost 20 years, eh?
Wow.
Yeah, almost 20. I'm just trying to do the maths. It's early, it's Monday. Don't make me do maths. It's a bad idea.
Nobody likes maths. When we spoke off air, you were telling me that your parents were not overly excited about you becoming a paramedic. Does that have to do with the fact that you were probably the little girl who was going into this male-dominated industry?
A lot of it had to do with the fact that I showed quite a strong aptitude for sciences when I was in school, and decided to do a Bachelor of Science degree, and halfway through it I went, this was a bad idea. I'm not enjoying it. I'm bored out of my skull, and midway through this made a decision to swap and change, which my dad had aspirations I'd follow him into the veterinary field, or at least follow into the medical field. It didn't happen quite the way it did, but I think once my parents saw how happy I was and that I had found my place in the world, they accepted it and actually supported me a lot through some pretty tough times.
And where was your point of entry into the EMS industry? Were you in government or?
I actually got introduced ironically through a friend and applied to study the diploma at what was then TWR, now UJ. And my first job was with a municipal service, Boksburg, emergency services back in the day, in the 90s still, so just a while ago.
In the 90s. So when you were doing your diploma, how many females were in your lecture hall? Let's start there.
Ironically enough, we were the first group to be 50% guys, 50% girls, and we were a group of 24. So we were the very, very, very first group, but collectively on the diploma, I don't think the ladies numbered more than 20 out of 60 learners. So we were a very small group, and we've actually stayed really close as a group through the years. One of those things, I think.
And going into the actual industry as a paramedic, how difficult was it for you guys to sort of cope with how demanding it was? Because you're automatically assumed to be weaker because you're a female.
It was hard. I'm not going to lie to you. We had lecturers who had this very male-dominated approach to training, and they used to tell us, well, if you can't carry it, get your ass back to the kitchen, pardon the term. But that was how it was. And then to top it all off, we all went and worked fire departments when we qualified. So we landed up in situations. Some of the guys were quite fortunate in that they landed up in medical posts. I landed up as a junior fireman. I had this diploma. I had this qualification. I could save lives with all my drug strips and tubes. And they were like, there's the cloths. There you go. You're on the fire engine. Make sure it's clean. Make sure it's tidy. And I got it. I got treated like a junior. I was devastated. I mean, really, my ego took such a blow. So it's just how it is.
And it's very much a militant type of environment where you're treated like, you're in the military. There's a lot of respect, a lot of protocol, and you have to wear the pants in your role.
It was, and I often found myself pushing that much harder to get that much further. So I had to go through fire training course. That was my job. I was a fireman, therefore I had to do fire training course. And so whenever we did drills and stuff like that, I always pushed harder. I mean, we were 70 people on fire course and we were 2 ladies. So myself and Nelly was the other lass on the course with me. We would push hard. If they made us do 10 push-ups, we would do 15. If they made us run 2,4, we'd run 800 meters to warm up in advance. That kind of thing. And I think the commitment and dedication showed, because both Nelly and I actually ended up rising through the ranks in the profession. She's later become a public educator in fire services, and I've landed up in the paramedical education field. But I did get to senior status at the fire department before I left.
I mean, I've always been of the opinion that the conversation about females who are disadvantaged in a male environment is really, it's done. We've had it before, we've spoken about it, but it's not the case. I mean, the fact that you're a female means that you add a certain quality. That's why I wanted to ask you, Nicole, tell me about the heart of a woman in uniform.
Well, we can be really hard, and we get very motherly, if I can call it that, with patients who need it. You get the guy who's wrecked his car and he's done some damage and he's in trouble, and you get very stern with them, and yet at the same time there's an emotional commitment to your patients that doesn't always come through as clearly in a man. I'm not saying that the guys can't do it, they can. I just think that we are able to tap into our empathy a lot quicker than some of our other colleagues might be able to. And the older I've gotten in the EMS, I would say the better my bedside manner has gotten. I have more patience, I have more empathy. My ability to tell families bad news is infinitely better than it used to be in my 20s, I'll be honest. But it's about the fact that I can find my compassion, because without compassion, what are we here for? Really, bodies are bodies, broken bones are broken bones. The cold hard reality is that it's a human being. And I initially thought that I was here because I'm here to save lives. But the truth is sometimes you can't save them all. And sometimes the heart of being a female in the EMS is sometimes that you recognize the need to hold the hand of someone who's dying. Sometimes you recognize the need to hold the hand of the family of the dead, because nothing you could do was going to change that outcome. You were just there so that they didn't die alone, more importantly.
Wow, that is incredible. Nicole, you are a star. I dragged you in here just before your important meeting, and I really appreciate it. That was Nicole De Montille, and she works in our training department. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
We are